Welcome, Solar here. I hope you guys are doing well today. It is 4:30 my time in the UK, which means we are about, I think, maybe 6 or 7 hours out of, or maybe 5 or 6, I forget. But we're a couple of hours out from this upcoming new moon in Cancer. And I'm giving myself a pat on the back because I'm actually recording in time to hopefully have this uploaded for you by the time the new moon occurs, which has been happening very rarely for me recently. And it's very funny because as I was getting ready to do this new moon in Cancer Tarot Astrology Ascension report for you guys, all of a sudden I began to realize that this frantic energy I've been feeling, and it's more internal than anything, although externally there are things too, but it's been more about internal adjustments. It really has been a theme for me since the full moon in Cancer, which occurred at the end of last year on the 27th of December. And I remember my guides took me back to, what was happening around that time. And so I recall now that I was late uploading my video for that full moon in Cancer reading, and the reason for it was because I had gotten the timing of it mixed up. I thought the full moon was happening at a later hour, and it was happening as, overnight as opposed to later on in the day, and I thought I'd be able to wake up and get it out before. And so I got it mixed up, and by the time I realized at the nighttime that it was happening in a few hours, I was too tired to do it. And normally I would have pushed myself to go, but I just said nope. And my guidance was, this is a full moon where it's really important to rest. This is one of the themes, so chill out. And so I did. But then I realized that ever since then, a lot of my readings have felt like I can only do them right at the very last minute or even after. It's been like a real fight with my masculine and feminine, my yin and yang energies. And this is a theme that's coming up now with the new moon in Cancer, and, has been something that's been a theme for many of us for the past 6 months. And it's all going to be in accordance with where we needed that adjustment to be made in our yin and yang energies. Cancer energy connects us to the divine mother principles of nurturing ourselves and creating the energetic containers emotionally we need in order to build lives that we are emotionally fulfilled with. Cancer is the foundational energy of our emotional fulfillment. Cancer is the foundational energy for our emotional fulfillment. And then as we move through the other water signs specifically, if we're dealing with emotional fulfillment, Scorpio helps us to dive deep and to deal with the deeper stories. Cancer gives us access to that energy, but Scorpio is what helps us to travel. And then through the Piscean energy, we exit, hopefully, more aligned with our emotional truth. And this is where with the Piscean energy, it closes out in the tarot with the 8, 9, and 10 of Cups. And if you know tarot, you know that's all about walking away from that which no longer is satisfying us emotionally, even if we have an attachment to it, choosing to ground into what it is that brings us a personal sense of satisfaction, and then creating new legacy from that place with other beings. Okay, so wherever it is that you have been struggling to find balance, and for all of us it's going to be different, and then it's going to be seasonal, and it's going to be dependent upon where you are on your own healing journey, is where Cancer has been challenging you for the past 6 months to come into alignment, and where this new moon you're going to see the birthing of the internal healing and alignments you've made in accordance with the lessons you've either learned from or you've repressed and pushed away. So for example, to put myself out there, I am very good at moving. Even though I have a lot of feminine energy in my chart, I've got a lot of Cancer placements. I've also got a fair deal of Leo. Right, my Sun and my Mercury are in Leo, so I can really operate in that masculine energy of go, go, go. There's also the fire energy. The fire signs tend to be very, very active, right? I can really, move in my masculine energy But what I tend to do, what I had been doing up until this point, was going until burnout, and then being forced into my feminine energy. And so those of you who are aware of how that works, that is having a dysregulated nervous system and constantly being in fight or flight and then falling into freeze state. And so I had to deal with all of the ways I've been doing that. I'm still dealing with all of the ways I'd programmed myself, and I'd been programmed from a very early age to be so performance oriented that it was depleting me, and my feminine energy needed for me to come back online with it in a way where it's not something I get pushed into because I'm on empty, but it's something that I embrace in the everyday more and more. And so I'm learning these lessons more. And so for most of us, regardless of our signs, we will be dealing with this because we lived in a hyper-productive world where the feminine principle of rest and honoring our bodies and our seasons and our cycles was put aside, denigrated, said it was weak, etc. And we were forced to become robotic and machine-like in the way we lived, as opposed to tuning into our own intuitive wisdom for what we need at any given point on our own individual paths. And so the Cancerian energy has been doing a work in our souls, not only through this new moon, but through the previous moons. I would say as far back as when the nodes were in Cancer. North Node entered into Cancer in, I want to say, 2019. And so throughout that pandemic situation, the North Node was in Cancer and the South Node was in Capricorn, and we were being challenged to take a look at our productivity, take a look at our emotional fulfillment. We were forced to sit our asses down, and if we were wise, we started to connect with what is important as opposed to, moving mechanically through life. And then since then, you will know that many people have gone back to that hyper-productive way of living. They may have, learned nothing from that time in lockdown, or maybe the lessons they learned they put to the side by the time the world started to move again. And now we're coming into a point of reckoning through this new moon in Cancer, because those who have decided to hold on to that old world of living and being and existing, versus those of us who heeded the call and started to make the internal and external adjustments to rise back into states where we are honoring our souls and our purpose and our own intuitive drive. We are birthing a new reality on the personal level through this new moon in Cancer, and we are giving the inhabitants of the earth collectively to come along with us. We are collectively presenting one another an invitation to rise back into soulful living. So, that's a great way to think about it. The new moon in Cancer is an invitation for us to rise back into soulful living. Okay, so I want to take a moment to welcome you all. Thank you. If you are visiting for the first time, welcome. My name is Solara. I am not a traditional astrologer. I learned or I remembered astrology because I do believe I've done this in previous incarnations, but in this here lifetime, I have not been formally educated or schooled. I learned astrology through the tarot, through channeling, through numerology, and I therefore have created my own kind of system where I read these ascension energies, where I read your cosmological data through your chart if you come and you work with me one-to-one personally. But as such, I do not necessarily use the regular astrological terms. I don't look at a chart and see it the way an astrologer does. I'm very, very energy oriented. I'm a channeler and I connect with energy. And so that's how I deal with, explaining astrological charts and the new and the full moons. I come here on this channel every 2 weeks. Sometimes I'll come and drop something in between that time, but I come and I do full tarot astrology ascension reports based upon the new and the full moons. Okay, so that's how often I show up here. If you'd like to connect with me in other spaces, if you want more daily input on what's happening with the energies as well as guidance, you can do so by connecting with me on Substack. I write there every single day through a publication I call Sunrise Salutations. Every day I post what it is I'm channeling and feeling about the ascension energies, and how I'm working through it, and the guidance I can provide for you also. I do articles every day, and I also record them audibly, so for those of you who don't like to read but prefer to listen, you have that option also, as well as other things I do over there. I collaborate with other writers, energy healers. I am a writer myself, so I do more articles that aren't just energy healing based. So if you'd like to connect with me on a more regular basis, the best way to do that is to become a monthly or an annual patron on my Substack, where you will also gain access every month to a live Q&A session with me. Normally happens the third Sunday of the month. And right now I have summer specials that are going on my Substack, which means you can join now monthly and receive a 33% discount for the next year. That means you will be paying for the discounted price for the next year for as long as you stay. You can leave anytime you want to, of course. Also, you're not locked into anything, right? So that adds up to about $10 a month for daily energy reports and a monthly meetup with me. For those of you who prefer to the annual option, I have introduced for the summer a 33% discount that you will get for life, meaning that every year you choose to resubscribe with me for as long as I am producing on that platform, that 33% discount for you is locked in. So please avail yourself of these summer rates. They are available until the 22nd of September this year, and I look forward to seeing more of you there interacting with me on Substack. So that's another way that you can connect with me. My other channel is Solara Speaks. That's where I do most of my readings and channelings. And I also have a channel called Daily Alchemy with Solara, where I kind of will post here and there some of the audio messages that I post on Substack, especially the ones that are open to the public for free, because I do also offer on Substack some free content. Okay, so with that out of the way, one more announcement. I have a group event occurring tomorrow. As I record, it is Friday the 5th of July. This event is happening on Saturday the 6th of July at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or 4:30 p.m. London time. We are diving deep into the dark feminine and what that means for us in the recuperation of our truth and our power. Whether you're a man or a woman, it is the dark feminine that puts you back into union with an integration with all those parts of yourself you were taught to shame and repress. And as we move through Cancer season, it's always a potent time to be able to connect with those unconscious patterns and stories that have formed the cycles in our realities that we sometimes feel helpless to shift. And we're not helpless to shift them. It's just that in order to shift those cycles, we must heal the root energy and cause of the repetition. So I think as of now, there are about 8 spaces still available. It's a smaller group, only 13 people, are given access to this time. And so yeah, I think there's about 8 spaces presently available. So I will put the link and the information for that in the description box and the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing familiar faces. I already know some of you are returning, and I'm very excited to see you again. I'm always excited to see you guys sign up again and again. I love it. And I'm looking very forward to hopefully meeting some new faces. So without further ado, let's get into the energy for this new moon in Cancer, which is really also helping us to realign with that which nurtures our nervous systems. So this new moon in Cancer is all about the nurturing of our nervous systems. And so in order for us to get to that place of nurturance, we had to first go through the valley of the shadow of death and deal with all of the ways we were trapped and stuck in fear templates, in shame and guilt cycles, what I like to call in the false matrix, the trauma trifecta. In other words, we were run off of fear, guilt, shame narratives that kept us stuck, going around ourselves and getting nowhere and staying stuck in our suffering. And that was the point of the false matrix, right? To keep us in those fear, guilt, shame stories and loops. And so when we are constantly living in those lower emotional resonances and states, it's not healthy for us. It not only creates suffering in our material reality, but it creates destruction, dysfunction, and decay within our physical bodies. And the part of our bodies that especially takes the wear and tear for this are our nervous systems, right? And then that will have an effect on other things like our hormonal balance, our digestion, the integrity of our organ functioning. It opens us up to lower immunity, whereby we become more susceptible to things like cancers, which really, when you think about it, are often rooted in parasite energies, because the whole false matrix was an energy harvesting complex that was built upon parasite activity on all planes: the spiritual planes, the mental planes, the emotional planes, and the physical planes. And so everything was designed to open us up to this parasitic energy. And cancer as a disease, and many of these lifestyle diseases that are actually a result of us living so far off kilter from who we are and how it was we were designed to be, are a result of these parasitic invasions. Okay? So that's a whole other thing. I got into that a lot a few months ago on Solara Speaks, but Cancer season is all about connecting us to those foundational stories that have created our emotional histories that we live from unconsciously and therefore continue to repeat without knowing that we're locked into that lower functioning of our emotional mechanics. Okay, so Cancerian energy is very connected, very specifically to our attachment styles, to how we learn to internalize, how we learn to emote, how we learn to connect to those things that either are supposed to properly nourish us, or we falsely take on as being things of nourishment. And so as such, this Cancerian energy is very deeply connected to how we were mothered, with the ones who were our biological mothers, but also how we were raised in the false matrix system, which the false matrix system in and of itself is a false mother. When you look into the Bible and you connect with the book of Revelation, and they're talking about the whore of Babylon, quote unquote, that is the false matrix system. The false matrix system was designed to be a mother who destroys her children, energetically speaking. Okay, so let that sink in for a moment and think about the Cancerian energy, its connection to the moon, and how a lot of that, a destruction that was wielded upon us came through lunar fuckery, through a lot of planetary fuckery, Saturnian too. And there's a reason why, we are right now in this place where Saturn has just gone retrograde a few days ago, smack in the center of two full moons that are under the energy of the zodiac sign Capricorn, two Capricorn full moons in this Cancer season, bookending Cancer season, right? We've already had one at the 1 degree, and we're moving towards the closing full moon of this season, which will occur at 29 degrees. And let's not forget that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So we are being shown here that there is something very, very powerful that is bringing things back into proper order. And what is the order that's being restored through this new moon? Your ability to live peaceably within yourself. Your ability to find home within yourself and no longer be so afraid that you constantly have to run outside of self to find false comfort or false validation. Everything in the false matrix was designed for you to not go within and to constantly chase externally for that which can only be satisfied internally and when you reconnect with yourself and source. And the Cancerian energy is helping us to be born again, back into that connection and truth, back into that place of such profound internal security that we cannot be rocked by other beings and their choices and the world and the things that are going on around us. And from that place we can create paradise on our own terms, because paradise for all of us is going to be different. But the fact of the matter remains across the board that we cannot rise into our divinity. We cannot enter into our true divine contracts. We cannot align with those we are a true frequential match with if we are not first secure in self, if we're not first finding emotional fulfillment in who we are, if we're not anchored in the beauty of who we are as a reflection of Source, as a reflection of excuse me, the Divine Father and the Divine Mother. And the Cancerian energy is here to bring us home into ourselves, where that's the only place where we can actually find true security. And that's the only place where, when we arrive, we will no longer make decisions that are constantly rooted in self-rejection and self-betrayal, that therefore keep us locked in that trauma trifecta, the fear, guilt, shame loop. And therefore our nervous systems awry, our bodies awry, our mental and emotional state awry, completely out of alignment with our spiritual truths. Cancer is here to say it's time to root yourself back into the primordial energies that support, sustain, and love you and are infinite. Okay? So let's get into this, because this new moon in Cancer, numerologically speaking, the number and the theme of this new moon is 5, right? So it's occurring if you are, more in the Western hemisphere of the world. It's occurring on the 5th of July. There we go. There's a 5 right there, right? I'm trying to think, what's the numerology if you break it down? 5 plus 7 is 12. That's 3 plus 8 is 11. So it's a master day. It's happening on a number 11 frequency day, if it's happening for you on the 5th of July. Even if it's not the 5th of July, that abundance of 5 is there either way, because we have the sun and the moon meeting in Cancer at 14 degrees. 14 degrees. We break that down, it's a 5. Furthermore, we've got Mercury, having just left Cancer, now making their way through Leo at 5 degrees. And not for nothing, there is heavy underpinning Leo energy that is happening through this new moon, and heavy Leo energy that's underpinning the themes of the year. And why is that? Because the previous golden age was the age of Leo. We are moving deeper into the age of Aquarius. And as we move deeper into the age of Aquarius, those old stories from the age of Leo are coming back, along with the old gifts, the resources, the remembrances, and the wisdom, in order that we anchor in what it was that we lost in the fall of, well, you could say the fall of Atlantis, right? Or the fall of the previous golden age on the earth. So we are, this new moon in Leo that we're coming up to in August, the first week of August, is really going to be about recovering our golden age wisdom and being able to finally begin to materialize that truth on the earth planes again. It's about, so this new moon in Cancer is a precursor, or it's opening the gates for us to begin to birth our golden age reality back on the earth. And the new moon in Leo, you could say, is kind of a heralding of the golden age back onto the earth, but first through us personally. Okay, so let's break this down in terms of what this means in the tarot, right? So we got the sun and the moon in Cancer. The sun and the moon are represented in the tarot by the sun card and the moon card, right? So the 14-degree mark of Cancer is the 3 of Cups. The Cancerian energy in the tarot is the Chariot, very much connected with our ability to maneuver and birth our realities based on our emotions, because we create through the waters, we create through our emotions. We can have a thought, but if we don't apply the emotional energy to it, it just stays a thought. It's the emotion that births the idea. And so this is where Cancer, in the tarot, the Chariot speaks about our ability to maneuver and move ourselves, and to be creators by our ability to learn how to wield the power of our emotions to create what it is that we actually desire. And we cannot create what it is we desire when we have stagnancy in our emotional fields based upon trauma and woundings that we haven't been able to see, let alone process. And so this is what the ascension has been doing. It's been upsetting that seabed, those foundational energies, those stories that have been so stuck in us, even on a cellular level, generationally, ancestrally, in us on a personal level, and in the earth in general too. It's been upsetting all of that and kicking it up and forcing us to begin to confront the truth of the things that have been limiting us, and the fact that we had so many limitations to begin with. Okay, so we've been doing all of this work. We've been doing it for years, and it's really come to a head in the past 4 years. And now it's time, as we enter into this ability to materialize the golden frequencies back on this planet, it's time for us to first and foremost birth a new reality, a new emotional frequency within ourselves that supports that. And that's what the new moon in Cancer is doing. And the new moon in Cancer is honoring us for every decision we make, to honor our truth, to honor what it is we need on an individual level, to honor the integrity and the nourishment of our nervous systems. Because a frazzled nervous system can only promote and create more nervous, anxious, panicked, fear-induced states. And so it's time for us to come back into a state of stability in order to create stable realities for ourselves and together on the earth. And when we do that, we are relocking into the earth planes the true harmonious settings that were here from the beginning and were supposed to be what dominated the earth before the false matrix. And I don't like that word dominated, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, so the Cancer energy is also what connects us to the grids, the dragon lines, the heart of the dragon coming back to life. We are in the year of the dragon in Chinese astrology. All of it's interconnected. The false matrix wanted us to think that every single school was so separate. It's not. Everything is interconnected, and it comes together to give us the full picture, the full energy picture. So there are truths in Vedic astrology, traditional Western or tropical astrology, Vedic and sidereal. I always find it difficult to say that. There's truth in the 13 signs astrology, which is kind of more where we're headed towards on an evolutionary perspective. You know, there is truth in the Chinese astrology, in every form of the ancient traditions where the stars were followed. Not one is right over the other. There's truth in all of them. And when you're able to bring that truth together, you get a better vision of the whole picture. Okay, so the 14-degree mark is also connected in the tarot to the Temperance card. The Temperance card is the number 14 card of the major arcana, which is Sagittarius energy. But 14 degrees, astrologically speaking, is a degree of Taurus. So we have the two signs that are here to nurture us back into our value, speaking through this new moon very loudly to us through the sun and the moon. It's time to come back to a place of true abundance through nurturing the foundations that give you the ability to even begin to produce that. Okay, now the Temperance energy is speaking about the downloads that come, the light codes that come that allow us to walk and live in our truth and create philosophies that honor our own individual paths. Sagittarius energy is also about our ability to travel, but it's not just about traveling to different places physically. Sagittarius gives us the ability to once again travel interdimensionally, because you are a multidimensional infinite being with access to, a lot, depending on who you are and what frequency you carry. The higher your frequency, the more water energy you have, the more you're able to flow and travel to other realms and dimensions. That's why water energy is what connects us to intuition. That is a very real form of travel, because it's through your imagination and the entry into other dimensions and realities that you begin to build your material one. It's also how they got us stuck, which is why through the false matrix they did everything to control our waters. They couldn't necessarily program our waters, they could program our minds because they were mental magicians, but they had us programming our own waters through our mental bodies, which is a whole other story. But Sagittarius helps us to begin to walk in our truth, walk divinely as we are. We are birthing the ability through this new moon in Cancer to show up on the earth in our multidimensional, multifaceted truth for as long as we are comfortable receiving that again. And we're only comfortable receiving that when we've done the work of going into the depths of our unconscious and subconscious to deal with all the reasons why we were blocked to begin with, all of the reasons we were rejecting and neglecting and shaming ourselves and allowing ourselves to fall into those narratives to begin with, right? So Mercury in Leo at 5 degrees. So I like to think of Mercury as the planet that it oftentimes will either go before or behind in order to make sure we get the lesson of the season. And right now Mercury is moving ahead of us, right? So the sun and the moon are in, well, the sun specifically is in Cancer, and Mercury has gone ahead. It's already transited through Cancer, given us the messages we needed to be activated right now in this moment through this new moon, and is now speaking to us about how this is preparing us for what is ahead. Now, let's get into this 555 energy, because the sun and the moon, 14 degrees, breaks down to a 5. Mercury, 5 degrees Leo, breaks down to a 5. 5th of July, 5-5. 5 energy, and for some of you 5-5 energy, and most of you will know by now that 5 is synonymous with changes, and that's based upon sacred geometry, not just numerology. There's a reason that it's connected with change. It's because a geometric sequence can only begin to stabilize and move into the next phase of solidarity when it reaches a pattern that's very connected numerically to 5. Okay, so 5, but in order for change to come, change for something that has been static or in a position of stasis has found a level of stasis it's comfortable with, in order to go into a higher level or to shift it into another reality, something has to enter to initiate the change, and that oftentimes is chaos, or it feels chaotic. We can't have change by doing the same thing again and again. So this new moon is preparing us for some changes that are ahead. And we've been already doing that within ourselves. We've been going into places that we weren't comfortable with. We've been changing and shifting and addressing those parts of ourselves that before we'd grown very comfortable in just accepting. And because we've been doing that, we're instigating what's about to come materially on the earth plane now. 5 is also connected to the Hierophant in the Tarot, and the Hierophant is the number 5 major arcana card that is ruled by Taurus. So we got this Taurus theme coming in again. Taurus is connected to your value. It's connected to your personal resources based upon who you are and the frequency, the frequential wealth you hold cosmologically, which you are able, when things are in proper alignment here on the earth, you are able to transfer into wealth here on the earth through what it is you do, through what it is you share, through what it is you grow. Taurus is also connected to the systems that create the laws, the regulations that are supposed to promote us in our value and to protect our value. Okay, so when I'm speaking about value, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about who you are divinely. And so these systems and these institutions are supposed to be working in our interest. The financial institutions, right? The religious, leaders, the governments and politicians, the social and community organizations that always want to take our money for change, right? But you don't see no change happen unless they are grassroots foundations that are separate from these larger corporations, and they oftentimes get infiltrated by them anyway. Because it's never been about change. It's never been about helping to protect us in our value. It's been about siphoning and stealing from us to build their false legacies and empires. And it's time for those fucking systems, institutions to come the fuck down. Their day of fucking around with us is over. It's over. It's over. And we've seen it crumbling. Everywhere you look, you see these systems and institutions that were once titans in the world falling. And you ain't seen nothing yet. Because that's not even the grand finale. That's not even that's just the amuse-bouche. Okay? That's just the hors d'oeuvre, the appetizer. And what we're being set up for right now is the main dish, which is also the Saturnian nature of the bookends of the full moons in Capricorn occurring at the opening and closing degree of the sign, that are sandwiching kind of this new moon in Cancer. Those full moon in Capricorn, they're the bread. The new moon in Cancer is the peanut butter or whatever you like in your sandwich, you know. And then we've got Saturn having gone retrograde with Neptune, both in the sign of Pisces, which we'll get into, a little bit later. But those systems that have supported the dysfunction of our nervous systems, our pain, our sickness, our poverty, our lack, those systems that have stolen from us and raped the earth for their fucked up value systems. And I hesitate to use the word value because there's no value in the false matrix and the old world systems that supported its wealth. They're on the way out. And it can't happen sooner, because real value is not in the dollar, in the pound, in a bar of gold. It's in life. It's in life. Human life, animal life, plant life, mineral life, the organic life that was sent here on this earth to enjoy and to grow and to create and to be. Mercury in Leo at 5 degrees. Mercury is the magician card in the tarot. That's another thing, sorry. We're talking about the underpinning energies of the Leo, the passing of the baton from the Leo to the Aquarian age. 5 is a Leo degree, astrologically speaking, too. 5. Leo, Taurus, fixed sign energies, which connect us to the fixed cross, which in the tarot connect us to the Wheel of Fortune and the world, meaning the end and the beginning of cycles and eras. And this is what this new moon is again ushering in. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to say to you also in regards to how you're feeling from the full moon in Cancer that occurred at the end of last year up until the new moon in Cancer tonight, and what's been working in you. If you are, and this is more for those of you who are full moon and new moon babies, I'm a full moon baby, and what I'm noticing, and this isn't even to do very tied in specifically with the new moon in Cancer and full moon in Cancer, it's just more of a generality, something I've been noticing about myself, and I wanted to share because maybe it's something that you will notice about yourself too, or you've noticed but you didn't make the connection. I'm a full moon baby. I was born on the full moon, and what I notice is that when the new moon comes, the things that have to end to bring in newness are always more pronounced for me, being a full moon baby. And then when the full moon comes, also the things that have to end in order to bring endings are more magnified for me, right? So what I mean by that is that a lot of people talk about the new moon being a time of, newness, right? And it is. But whenever something new is coming, something old is ending, right? Oftentimes, most of the time, not all of the time, but oftentimes. And so for those of you who have that full moon, you were born on a full moon, whenever the moon reaches its fullness, it's more pronounced for you. But even in its new state, those things that are ending might be more pronounced than the things that are starting. They're ending in order for something new to start, but that might be a part of the story for you that is more resonant. And even for those of you who have, who were born in a waxing, like the phase that you were born in, the moon phase you were born in tends to play out in a more magnanimous way during the new and the full moons. Right? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, back to regular programming. Mercury in Leo at 5 degrees. Mercury is the magician. Leo is the strength card and the sun. The 5-degree mark of Leo is, wait for it, the 5 of Wands. Another 5. 5, 5, 5. 5. Okay? 5 is a degree of Leo, astrologically speaking, as I've already said. So Mercury is here. What is the message Mercury is giving to us through this new moon? It's time to do whatever it takes now, strength card, to push past anything that keeps you from your inheritance divinely. 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands energy is about the fight. It's about standing up for integrity, your own heart's integrity, and what it is that you need to feel good. And I'm not talking about fake pleasure. I'm talking about to feel good because it's in alignment with your soul's truth. That's what Mercury is saying. It's time. The war ain't over. The worst part is over, but this is the part where you take back the crown. Don't stop now. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep being brave. Keep shining. Keep being strong. Keep knowing that you're right on the brink of something. This is birth, right? Those of you, those mamas out there who have had babies, you know how those contractions come in waves. And they keep on coming in waves, and they keep on growing in strength until, the baby is fully here. And so don't stop now. Like when you're laboring and, baby's head is crowning and you're tired as fuck and those contractions come, sometimes you just want to lie down and curl in a ball and just fall asleep yourself. Can't do this anymore. I'm fucking tired, And that's where that's where oftentimes adrenaline will kick in, and extra reserves of power and strength are born, especially if you are in a birthing situation with beings who are actually creating the atmosphere that help you to push, because that's so important too. So there's another message for you. Are you right now in an environment that is conducive to you being able to push through to the end? And I'm not even talking about the external environment, because many of you are not. I'm not in the perfect external, perfect home physical situation that facilitates my excellence. But that's okay, because I'm coming back into that place internally. So are you creating the internal environment mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and as much as you're able to materially? Are you creating the environment that's helping you to push through to the end? The new moon in Cancer is here to help help you. The new moon in Leo is going to fuel you even more also. But we can be given these planetary energies, but if we don't decide to utilize them, then what's the point? So are you utilizing the power of what's been given to you right now to push ahead and to get to the end of your false matrix old world story, so that the new earth story can come forth and be materialized in all of its glory? Because you are a holographic being. Whatever your internal state is, your external reality will reflect. Whatever you are, the microcosm is the projector. The macrocosm reflects back to us what we're projecting. And that goes for all states of energy. The more microcosmic an energy is, the more it's the projecting, the more its fields project. Not exclusively, but the stronger its projection reality is upon the macrocosm, which is a reflection of what is being projected. Okay, so bear that in mind as you are moving through your day every day, and the thoughts you're entertaining and the things you're allowing into your mind, into your heart, into your space on all levels. Okay, right now, it's time to nest, energetically speaking, meaning it's time to create the perfect energy for you to be born. And the new moon in Cancer is assisting us all with that in varying degrees. Now, Venus in Cancer, moving swiftly along because I've got to go. Venus in Cancer is showing up at 22 degrees, master number. 22 is connected to, wait for it, Capricorn, Saturnian degree, Capricorn. So Venus is expressing through Cancer's sister sign energy, and Cancer and Capricorn work together in the materializing of cycles on the earth plane. Cancer sets the emotional energy, and Capricorn takes that emotional energy and brings it forth into real time. So Venus is showing us right now, reminding us of our own mastery and ability to create materially, reminding us that every emotional state we choose to hold and harbor within our fields is what we're creating from. Reminding us again how to wield the power of that wisdom to get what it is we desire, to reconnect us to beauty. Because remember, if y'all been rolling with me for a minute, you know how I feel about Venus. Venus loves to see us connect with the beauty within, in order to further connect with the beauty without and to be good creators. Venus is connected with beauty, with art, our ability to create those things, right? The more we're able to connect with the beauty within, the more we're able to beautify our surroundings. And that's what Venus in Cancer is about. It's about finding that beauty in your home, within yourself, within your own personal residence. And from that place, you create a world materially for yourself and the collective that also is full of that beauty, right? Venus is the Empress. Cancer, again, is the Chariot, the 22 degree mark. Like I said, it is a Capricorn degree that is connected to the Four of Cups. So this is also challenging us to look at what it is that we've created so far and come back to the drawing board. If you don't like what your life is, what you're creating, you are God over self. You have the ability to go back and tweak things internally to change what it is you're projecting and therefore experiencing in the earth. And Venus is here to remind us, to give us those lessons again, to wake us up into how we do that consciously. We've been doing it unconsciously. We've been being nefariously programmed to unconsciously create trauma and fucked up states. And Venus says, if you were that powerful to create unconsciously while under the commands of external energies that aren't even as powerful over you as you are over yourself, let me help you to remember how to do this in such a way that you take back your mastery on the earth. Okay, Mars and Taurus at 19 degrees. Even Mars is fighting through the feminine energy, right? Mars is here. Mars is the energy that comes to clear the path. Whether you like it or not, whether you're ready or not, Mars, like I say all the time, comes and does shit and asks questions later. And it's moving through this Taurus energy that's connected to our personal value. How we connect to it as divine beings, how we are appreciated for it through our interactions or not. Mars is helping us to fight again for our value as beings on this earth, not human doings. Okay, and so Mars is getting us in shape, in alignment, because this is happening at the 19 degree, more Leo energy. 19 is a tarot energy that connects us to the Sun card. Astrologically, it's a degree of Libra. So Mars is bringing the balance also, bringing the equilibrium back, bringing the justice forth. That is so important for us to be able to shine and to be whole and to live on an earth where we're not constantly being taken from and not replenished and lied to, and in being lied to, not being able to rise into the beauty of who we are and our power. Mars is fighting, and let's not forget, like, the Mercury in Leo is the Five of Wands. It's another fighting card, and I think that the Five of Wands is actually Mars in Leo energy. So we've got the fight still happening, but the fight that's occurring is the fight to the finish. We're not at the beginning of the race anymore. We're not wading through, not knowing where we're going. We are more and more being shown the finish line. And these are the fighting energies that are arising to assist us in getting there. Okay? So I'm going to end there. I'm just going to move very swiftly into, well, let's say Jupiter in Gemini at 9 degrees. This is breaking us free of the mind control. It's breaking you free of the mind control. Jupiter is that energy that helps you to walk in accordance with what it is you create. It gives you rewards if you are in alignment with, if you are in proper alignment and order. It dishes out the rewards that Saturn opens the door for. You know, the rewards or the lessons. It comes through Jupiter, right? So the more you are walking in your truth, the more rewarded you are. And it's not a merit-based thing. It's a being in alignment with the universal laws always support you being in alignment with yourself and who you are, always. And so the more you're in alignment with self, the more you're in alignment with universal law. The more you're in alignment with the universal laws, the more things become opened up to you. Okay, so Jupiter in Gemini at that first decan of Gemini, that's 8 of Swords, you know, and if you've been rolling with me for a while, the 8, 9, 10 of Swords, that's Gemini, the Gemini decans in the tarot. It's all about the mind control fuckery of the matrix, about many things, but that's one way you can read those cards. It shows you how those mind control structures work. And I did a whole reading on this back in August of last year, where I took you through the energy of the entire suit of swords, highlighting this point. You can find it on Solaris Speaks. It came out August of last year, and it will say something like, the title something like how the Matrix mind controls, or I forget. And I use the suit of swords. If I remember, I hope I do remember, I will also place that in the description box below so you can link to it directly from here if you have interest. Okay? But Jupiter is here to bust us out of mental prisons, bust us out of jail. You know, and I'm talking about, because we're dealing with the outer planets, I ain't talking only about the internal jails, I'm talking about the external structures and systems that were controlling you mentally to keep you at low states, to feed off of you. The feeding banks are closed. They're closed and they're coming the fuck down. Saturn, let's look, a very quick look at Saturn and Neptune. Okay, so Saturn again is presenting through this Libran degree of 19 degrees, Leo energy in the tarot. as it retrogrades. And Saturn will move back 7 degrees. It will almost always move back 7 degrees in the retrograde phase, because Saturn, the 7, that's the number of order. So it's beginning at that 19 degree. 19 is synonymous with our ability to rise back into our wholeness, following all of the trauma and the fragmenting that happened as a result of the false matrix structures and programs. And Saturn is settling right here in Pisces, because it's time for retribution. Saturn has all the receipts. I wrote about this, I think, over the weekend when Saturn went retrograde, and that was the title. If you go on SUBSTACK, that's available. It's open for free. Saturn's got all the receipts. Saturn isn't a planet that moves in haste. So people, it's not the instant karma planet. Saturn is a planet that will let people think they're getting away with shit over millennia, and then will come and present the bill. Yeah. And when it presents the bill, like this, everything will fall. The fall of the House of Usher is a great show to watch on Netflix if you want to kind of tune into the nature of Saturnian energy. The Verna, the character Verna, who they make a deal with, you can see her very much as being kind of Saturnian in nature. She allowed them, she brokered the deal with them to test to see what they were going to do. And there's a reason she tested them too, which we won't get into now. But she tested them for a very real reason, to see what they would choose. And they chose, wealth. And they got it. For decades, they got it. Their family got it. And then within 2 weeks, when she showed up with her bill and receipts, everything was gone, in accordance with the contracts they signed. So Saturn is coming back with the receipts and the bills in accordance with the contracts that beings have signed. And it's lights out on the old world contracts that harmed beings and kept them enslaved and encaged, because Pisces energy is there to liberate, but it's also one of the biggest signs of the zodiac that will get you stuck in a cage, because it's right at that finish line. And every time you get to that finish line, if you keep on going back, you find yourself in a deeper cage. That's what the Piscean energy can do also. That's how it can be used against us. That's how we can use it against ourselves when we're not in alignment. And Saturn says, oh, no. It's a new era. It's a new day. Not to mention, we're in a time, in an age that is also co-ruled by Saturn. Right? Aquarius, ruled by Saturn and Uranus. And Neptune is flipping the inversion back. It's the Hanged One in the tarot. They told us that all of those things that we were connecting with was our imagination, were dreams. We're seeing clearly now, in accordance with who we are and not the mental programs and fuckery. We're connecting now emotionally to what is true. And we're bringing that back in. Neptune is the planet that connects us with a higher octave of love, our true divine contracts, and therefore our ability to connect properly with those we're a true frequential match for. Neptune is removing the emotional stagnancy, the emotional wounding that has kept us from connecting with our divinity and truth, and those who are there to promote and support and grow with us in that. It's at the closing degree of the sign. Chapters are closing out. 29 is a degree of Leo, where the blankets were placed over us at the fall of the previous golden age. All of those blankets and deception and smoke screens and mirrors that were used to keep us in a complete distorted reality. It's coming off. It's coming off. It's been coming off for us personally. And now we're reaching a point where no one will be deceived anymore. meaning that the truth is getting ready to be birthed, not only through us, but systemically. We're going to start seeing more and more what it is that our energy and life force has been feeding and supporting and growing to the detriment of our own souls. So I'm going to end there. We got 10-10 energy with the nodes. That's endings and beginnings simultaneously. Wheel of Fortune. Where you land, whether you're on the top or the bottom of the Wheel of Fortune, depends on your fucking choices. There will be no more of the old world contracts because the feeding banks that finance those old world contracts are closed. Okay, so I wish you guys, ooh, and Lilith is just entering at 0 degrees Libra. It's not a good time right now to be out of alignment with self. It's not. Because all of these persecution, these contracts that grew and profited off of persecution of beings in their power, justice is entering the building. And her name is Lilith, okay? One of her names in this here picture. Okay, I've really got to go though. I send you so much love. Thank you for all of your love and your support and your encouragement. If you would like to sow further into my ability to create peaceably and to show up here, I invite you to do so by donating to my Ko-Fi or my PayPal. Also, I am continuing to extend my decrees on Ko-Fi for free. I got into the reason as to why I'm doing that on my other channel, Solara Speaks. I don't have the time to get into it now, but I just feel guided right now that in the spirit of the New Earth financial system, that we are here to give what it is we can give and to help one another to rise back into our power too. And so what I've noticed, I'm just sharing it with you now. You don't have to go to my other channel now. It seems I'm telling you anyway. What I noticed is that when I open these things up, first and foremost, more people have access to it, and it's helping to change lives. And I know that because of all the feedback I get from you guys. And furthermore, those who are not able to give, there are so many that come and do give and give more, you know, because they're able to. And the New Earth value system is not about siphoning and taking from people what they don't have to give and making them feel as if they can't have access to the things they need because they lack in something, because the truth is we lack for nothing. And so in the spirit of that, and I know there are beings out there who will still try to take advantage and get things for free, but that's their issue because this is not the energy you want to be doing that shit in, so it's not my problem. But in the spirit of the beauty that's coming forth, I want to rise in faith and to do and to live in accordance with that too. So that's why I'm also continuing to extend my decrees for free, and I probably will start to give out more things for free, or you know, set it at a point where you can access it for free, and if you're able to give, to set the amount that you want to give, because to me that's truly letting people make free and autonomous choices that empower on all levels. That's a whole other story. Again, Substack, that information on how to join me there and to make the most of my summer rates will be in the description box in the comment section below. If you'd like to join me tomorrow as we dive deep into the shadow and we take a trip with the dark feminine, then please do so at the link provided in the comment section in the description box below. If you would like to book with me, I also have summer rates right now for my one-to-one 60 or 90-minute sessions. Those are available again until September 22nd. The price listed on my website is the summer rate. So if you're interested, check out my website for how it is I work, and you can email me directly to book, or you can set a time aside, but you still need to email me in order to confirm and to make payment. Okay, so I think those are all the announcements. I wish you guys all a beautiful and a glorious new moon in Cancer. Until next time, be well.